Hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee with Craner. I have a very special guest on the show, Masoud Negad. He is the first non-family CEO at Tepperman's. As you can see, we're in Tepperman's today. We have the store going on in the background, so you might see some happy customers shopping around. But Masoud has a very unique story that we're going to be talking about today. He joined Tepperman's in 1987 after emigrating from Iran, and you actually, I believe, grew up in Sault Ste. Marie.
I started in Sault
Sault
Ste. Marie,
Ste.
that's
Marie,
correct.
yes,
Yes.
and then made your way to Windsor.
Ultimately, yeah.
Awesome. And then was also at Tepperman's. He was appliance electronics buyer. Then he went up to VP of Operations and Supply Chain, and now the CEO, which was a big move for this organization. I mean, it hasn't been, it's never happened where it's a non-family member as CEO. So it's been almost a year since that transition, and we're going to be talking all about that. We'll talk about Tepperman's, what they're all about. Andrew Tepperman has been on the podcast previously, so I think you're going to enjoy. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, and for those that don't know, I was actually on a board with Masoud right across the parking lot.
That's right.
At Habitat for Humanity, and Masoud's still a great a partner with them, a board member as well. So that's excellent. Now, every show I have to ask questionable coffee.
Sure.
We have our coffee here today.
You got it.
Where's your favorite spot?
Well, one of my favorite spots is Yemeni Corner Coffee House on Cabana.
Mm,
And
I've never been.
you may want to try it.
Okay.
So not only the coffee is delicious,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of unique coffee mixes, etc. But it really creates a nice spot for a special get together.
Mhm.
So I don't go there all the time, but for a special occasion, whether I go for coffee with a coworker and want to sort of thank them for a special achievement, etc. We go for lunch and then we stop by for coffee, or take the family out and just hang out. There's a great atmosphere, comfortable seating, and you can get cozy. And if you like desserts, which I do, there's some delicious desserts to take advantage of as well.
Excellent.
So
You said
yeah,
coffee with coworker. Maybe that's another segment we got to start. I don't know.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
but tell us how did you get involved with Tepperman's? How did you find the company and really climb through the leadership ladder?
Sure. So my journey, as you mentioned, originally born in Iran. I left Iran when I was 14 years old. Went to India actually as a student, and I finished my high school in India.
Hmm.
Then I became a refugee to Canada, and I came to Canada and went to Sault Ste. Marie, and I got into the food business. I became a licensed chef. Then, through work, I got transferred to Chatham, Ontario.
Okay.
I was working at a restaurant called Glitters. So some of your older audience, although most of them are young,
Yeah.
would maybe be familiar with that place in Chatham. Um, our restaurant was down the street from Tepperman's, and often we would have Tepperman's employees come to our restaurant to have lunch.
Okay.
And we would start conversations, and I was one of the managers there, and they always told me what a great place it was,
Hmm.
and great company owned by a great family, and decent income, really treat everybody well, etc. So as I started to think about my long-term career, and I thought, okay, the restaurant business for a single person is great,
Hmm.
but as you have a family, it becomes more difficult. I started to think about alternatives, and I decided to apply with Tepperman's and got a job in sales.
Well.
So that's how the journey started with Tepperman's in
Hmm.
1987. And in 3 years after that, I became a store manager, and then I opened the first Sarnia store as the general manager of Sarnia store. 2 years later, I came to Windsor, became a buyer, then a director, a VP, and COO, etc., etc.
And now
So
CEO.
it's been an amazing journey.
Yes, yes. No, that's very cool. Did you have anyone in your family that was in sales at all, or was that just the first role that you've had in sales right out of being a chef?
I had never sold anything, and no one in my family was involved with sales.
Hmm.
But spending 4 years in India and knowing that you have to negotiate everything, you have to communicate with people, build relationships, etc. So uh, I think it sort of became natural through experiences that it worked out.
Hmm.
But no, I had not had any experience pre that.
Would you say that the as a chef, presentation is everything? Was that mentality helpful in the sales business?
Yeah, I think it is. And in the restaurant business, in hospitality business, you
Hmm.
work hard.
Yeah.
So, and in any career, I think that's one of those key ingredients that can help you succeed. So when you're raised in the restaurant business, even a chef, you clean your floor, you do dishes, you do all of those things. So everything contributes to your ultimate
Hmm.
success.
Yes, absolutely. And now you're in the CEO role. It's been a year. What are your thoughts so far?
You know, it's been an honor. First of all, this is a company that we just celebrated our
100.
100th anniversary, and that teddy bear
Yes.
is a
Put him next to us. There we
special
go. Yeah.
anniversary guest sitting here.
Yes.
Um, it's an honor to be associated with a company that has been in business for 100 years. Not too many things in life last 100, whether it's life itself, whether it's marriages, relationships, work, etc.
Hmm.
So 100 years and growing,
Yes.
third generation and growing. Those are very unique aspects of this business. So to be given this opportunity as a CEO, it's a big honor. It truly
Yes.
is, and I'm grateful. And the benefit that I have is that I've grown within the organization. I understand the culture. I understand what has brought us here, uh, and that helps. I have a great relationship with the Tepperman family.
Hmm.
Have an immense amount of respect for everybody: Bill, Rochelle, Noah, Andrew, their families, and they treat me like family. So
Yeah.
it's win-win.
No, I know some people that work here, and the one thing they bring up is the culture, is the that family atmosphere that's created here, and they're saying it outside of work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Your employees like what they're doing when they're talking about work outside of work,
yes,
opposed to shutting it off and not speaking about the work word outside
yeah,
of hours, right?
yes,
Now you talked about the business being around for 100 years, which was celebrated, if you're watching this, probably a few weeks ago. Um, the average shelf life for a business is probably 3 to 5 years, if that.
that's right.
What do you believe has allowed Teppermans to stay in business for that long?
Sure. So I would say the core values of the family itself.
Hmm.
Uh, Going back to Nate Tepperman, who was the first generation of the business, he stood for some very important fundamentals, which was work hard, be honest, have integrity, uh, respect all those who you come in contact with, and care for people.
Hmm.
So when you have all of that, those are key ingredients for success.
Yeah.
Then when his son, Bill Tepperman, took over running of the business, he just elevated and kept building on those core values.
Hmm.
And I remember when I got the pleasure of working with Bill side by side when he was in the office on a daily basis, and he would always say, "Take care of people, and people will take care of your business."
Hmm.
So I've never forgotten that because that's such an important thing. In good times and in bad times, Tepperman's has stood by the people, its employees, and its customers.
Hmm.
We do our own financing. And in difficult times, most financial institutions don't care. At the end of the day, it's about what do you owe me and how are your payments.
Yeah.
Whereas Tepperman's looks at it as you are our loyal customers. You're going through difficult times. How do we need to work with you through this challenging time?
Yes.
And it's again, it goes back to those key relationships, and that's what has not only allowed Tepperman's to last, but become stronger over the years. And
Hmm.
those key values are the reasons why Tepperman's has been around for as long as it has been.
Very fascinating. And speaking of tough times, the word that we have been hearing constantly, the T word, tariffs.
Yes.
We have a proudly made in Canada sticker behind us.
Yes, of course.
How has that been affecting the business?
For any business in Canada, there is direct impact, and whether through products that we import and sell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the selection of what we bring into Canada from US is small. It's high single digit as a percentage of our SKUs. So it's not significant. We carry a lot more Canadian products than we carry like made in
Mm-hmm.
USA as an example. And ultimately, the tariffs creates difficulty in terms of inflation, potentially impacting some prices. Uh, you know, gives us an opportunity to look at some of those SKUs and see, okay, can we find alternatives in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our buying team is really aggressively looking at right now. But the bigger issue is the impact on the local economy, particularly in this region, southwestern Ontario. We're heavily um, supported by the automotive industry. And that's the bigger concern of what happens to that industry, because that impacts our community, that our
Yes.
customers,
Yeah.
etc. So that's the biggest concern, really.
And what are your customers saying when they're coming in? Are they're looking for that sticker?
Oh, absolutely. It is amazing. Immediately after this whole tariff war started, that our chats, our phone calls, and the customers that were coming in, they were like never before. Do you have made in Canada products? Which ones are made in Canada? That's what I want to look at. And
Mm-hmm.
that's great that as a nation, we're
Yeah.
all pulling together and saying, this is going to be difficult on us, but we're going to pull together. We're going to support our local economies, in this case, Canadian economy, and make sure that we show the rest of the world that we're tough. We're going to hang in there, and we're going to support each other and come
Yes.
through it.
Yes. What a way to jump in the CEO role is dealing with something like that.
You know, at Tepperman's, we one of the things we say to any new employee is that we promise you we're going to keep you really busy and you'll never get bored. And there's no exception for the CEO.
Yes.
There's always things to do. But the great thing, again, with us is that, when you look at a history of 100 years, we've been through depressions,
Mm-hmm.
recessions, wars, etc. And we've had to be nimble, adaptable, change, innovate, recreate. But the core values have always stayed stable: take care of people.
Yes.
And we stay true to that.
And how have you seen things change since working here? I believe it was 87?
87,
Yes, so
1987.
Since 1987, what changes have you seen in the retail business? What you could share?
So, yeah, of course. So it's become much more competitive. A lot of the independent retailers, if they're smaller, they've had difficulty surviving that evolution of global economies, global supply chain, because to be able to bring products from different regions and offer selection and offer value, you've got to be a bigger player to be able to do that. So retail has definitely evolved. I think customers have evolved. They're more sophisticated. I mean, digitization has been a big part of that journey. Website, digital advertising. But one of the things that has never changed is that at the end of the day, customer wants a good experience.
Yes.
It's not just about buying the product, but it's really a journey that you go through to buy that product. And our focus has always continued to be, how do we enhance that experience
Mm-hmm.
from the moment they walk into the store to the experience that they have with our salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be there to help them find what is most suitable for them, and how do we do that in the best way possible while we build a relationship with them rather than selling them something.
So, without sharing all of your sales tips and tricks, how do you create that experience? So, when somebody walks in here versus a traditional retailer, what's the additional experience that you're giving or coaching your sales team to do?
Of course. So two things. One is the atmosphere, the retail environment, the way the product is merchandised, decorated, the selection, the and the details that go into that, so that they're properly presented, so customer can imagine that product, in their own home.
Mm-hmm.
But the key ingredient, the most important part, is that interaction with our teams. So really a lot of the focus on training of our sales team, our front office staff, even on the back end of the business, customer service, delivery, continues to be, how do we make sure that at any point of contact that we're treating the customer as best as we can possibly treat. Mm-hmm. Do we make mistakes? Of course. Mm-hmm. But we should really try, when we make mistakes, to make sure that we try to take care of those customers.
Are there things that you've seen other independent chains do where, like, that initial interaction, like there's got to be a science behind when a customer walks in, what does your sales team immediately do or think to approach them in a way that's not bombarding? And
so I know what our customers tell us is, mm-hmm, that one of the things that they like about us is that we don't, as the customer would refer to them, we don't jump on them immediately after they walk in the door, or constantly walk behind them. So we will greet them and welcome them, yeah, and then give them space, and we want to be there as soon as they have a question and they want us to be there. Yeah. But otherwise, we don't want to constantly shadow them. So we give them that freedom to flow through the store, mm-hmm, and ask questions as necessary. And again, when they're ready to converse with us, it's about how do we do that properly. And really, it's about us being there to serve them at that point.
Yes, yes. Now, two final questions for you. One focused on just advice for people that are looking to perhaps be the CEO of a furniture sales company, or just in the retail space in general. You've been with the organization for quite some time. Anything you've learned along the way that you could share if somebody's looking to become a CEO one day?
Sure. So I'll tell you my personal philosophy. I mentioned the different roles that I've had with Tepperman. Mm-hmm. I should mention that I have never, ever had a goal of becoming something else.
Okay.
But I've always had the goal of being the best I can be in what I was doing. So when I was a salesperson, I really wanted to be the best salesperson, period. Yeah. Not just at Tepperman's, but period. Mm-hmm. As a manager, as a buyer, as a director, as a VP, and today as a CEO. So it wasn't that I wanted to be something else. I wanted to be great at what I do. So if I have any advice to anybody, but particularly young people, mm-hmm, be excellent in what you do. Because when you do, the rest will work itself out.
Yes. Opportunity will come.
Opportunity will come. You will be recognized. Employers love to see talented people, hardworking people, committed people. So, mm-hmm, if you're that, and of course, I'm not discouraging anybody from applying for opportunities or having a goal. It's just my personal philosophy was just be the best I can possibly be. in what I do, and then the other things will come. The other advice I have is always try to learn. So education, for me, as I have worked at Tepperman, I have continued to reinvest in myself, continue my education to the point of finishing my PhD.
Well,
So, and I've done it all while I work full time.
holy smokes.
Bachelor's, master's, PhD, and so continue to reinvest in yourself. And I think often we think about, it would be nice if I could finish that degree, or it would be nice if I could take that course, or it would be nice if I did that certification. The hardest part is actually signing up.
And committing.
And committing. Because if you do that, then the rest will also come, as long as you're actually committed to it.
Yes.
And you do it and you say, I don't know if I'm going to for sure finish it, but I'm committed to give it my best shot I can possibly give it. And you start that process. And the next thing you know, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years have gone by, and you finished whatever it was your goal. So, and that's no different than any other goal in life.
And just real quick on that, how did you manage to complete those degrees while working full time? I've spoken to other people on the podcast as well, and they've done the same thing. They're in a very, very high level position.
Yeah.
So, time, flexibility and controlling your schedule is everything, and making sure you have time to actually commit to that degree, which is pretty much another full time gig. How did you do that?
At the start of each one of those milestones, I actually always said, I can't cut back on my commitment to work. So it wasn't that I had full flexibility. I'm sure if I needed to, there would be flexibilities available. But in my case, it was about, okay, I spend X number of hours per day at work, and then it's the rest of the time, how do I ration that? And what amount of time do I commit? And depending on what I was doing, that level of commitment had to change and had to increase. But at one point, after work, I would get home, I would take an hour or two for dinner and a little bit of time with family, and then hit the books, the online portal, and start going at it, and often till 2 in the morning.
Oh my God.
So commitment, hard work, and you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to it. If you stick with it, just don't quit early. You stay with it, and you get used to the pace, and then next thing you know,
it's just a habit.
It becomes habit, and then it's easy. Yeah, the first few months, it's very difficult. But if you really want to do it, you'll be able to do it.
Any more education for you?
No, the last education that I signed up for, and I would say it was the best one. So after all of the formal educations, it was actually Noah Tepperman who asked me to sign up for this course called Landmark Forum.
Okay.
And it's not about school education. It's called Curriculum for Living. So it's about life. And it's a 3.5-day commitment, and they offer the program in different cities. And I went to Detroit for 3.5 days, and it changed my life yet again, because I realized I was sweating the little things in life. And yeah, I was an achiever, but maybe in some way an overachiever.
Yeah.
And through this program, I ended up taking subsequent courses to it too, over a 1-year period. You figure out your personality, then you figure out what caused you to have that personality, and you learn how to deal with what's called this inner voice that sort of really preoccupies you all the time, and then you worry about all the little things, how to block that out. And once you're able to do all of that and you have no negative feelings, then it's about what is the possibility that I want to create? At
Mm-hmm.
this stage in my life, what do I want to do? In my case, I had become a VP, and actually at that point, it wasn't about career. It was actually realizing that I need to enjoy life more, and I need to enjoy my family more. And not that my commitment to work would change, but I need to do that more. And that was the possibility that I created for myself. And I would say that was the most valuable education I ever got.
Well,
And ever since, my relationship with my family, my coworkers, etc., started to change.
yeah. Well, I should definitely check that out. It was called
Landmark Forum.
Landmark Forum in Detroit. Okay.
Yes, yes, and again, it's available in Toronto. It's available in different cities, but Detroit
Excellent.
is the closest one.
That's great. And I think some people might be interested in signing up for it as well. Um, Final question for you: what's exciting for Tepperman's coming up? The 100 year just took place. Anything you could share?
Of course. We're going to celebrate the 100th year throughout the year, so there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be lots of exciting things happening at Tepperman's. But really, our key focuses right now are how do we use technology? How do we retrain our people to make sure that we're focused on improving our customer experience that I talked about?
Mm-hmm.
How do we continue to bring value? And really, it's about innovation. And we're looking forward to it.
I'm excited. Be sure to check out Tepperman's. Masoud, this was an excellent story. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and learn so much from you, genuinely. So thank you for your time, and be sure to support Tepperman, support Canadian made, and come out and support.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.